Welcome back. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi. And Iman, let me give you a scenario that's going to happen in a few days. We're sitting at the table with your family.
Yeah.
And they ask you, what happened to crypto? What do you say?
Because they're doing their annual portfolio checkups or something.
Yeah, because everybody's talking about the collapse. Well, I mean, a lot of things are collapsing right now, not just crypto.
Yeah, and I guess it's up to people like us or you wonderful listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
Very crypto informed, crypto savvy people, right? We're left with the responsibility of
explaining what
contextualizing and
why everybody's portfolio just got decimated by 70%
again.
Yeah.
It's why does this keep happening? You know? Yeah, so there's things to explain. And right now everything's coming from mainstream media, and you know how media is. They
sensationalize everything.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like COVID drama. Everyone's like, dude, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the end of humanity. Say goodbye.
At the time, it did feel like the end of humanity.
Yeah, you had Bill Ackman coming on CNBC literally crying.
Yeah, I remember that.
This feels very eerily reminiscent as far as sentiment and media pile on.
Yeah.
The crypto, we've been saying it all along, guys, even though they haven't. They've been riding the hype waves with it because it's good clicks.
Yeah.
Right? Once things turn south, then they want to pile on dude, this has been a scam all along.
Mm-hmm.
How could anybody have thought this internet money could have any chance of competing against, real sound money?
Yeah.
So
we've seen a downturn to the economy as a whole. In I guess a much smaller spectrum would be crypto going down as well. But it's been going down since at the end of 2021.
Yeah, due to many factors, right? Okay, the macro fears, but also just a regular rhythm to the cycles itself.
Yeah.
Right? At some point, the markets become overbought and they correct.
Yeah, that's right.
And at the time, it doesn't feel like that's what's happening. But once you zoom out on the actual grand picture, of the whole market, it's very predictable.
Yeah,
these things would happen around the times they do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So here we are again at a very predictable point in time within these market cycles.
That's right.
Right. So, but this is the more painful side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
So, like you're saying, what do we tell our folks and our relatives who, I guess we've been speaking to for the last several years? Do you pay attention to this space?
Yeah.
Right. There's some real value here. Right.
Yeah, and then many times we would talk to our family, and during the bear, we'd be like, "Hey, this might be a good time to look at your
but
crypto."
That's going to be a harder pitch now, right?
It is going to be harder now.
Yeah,
just because of the fraud that occurred with FTX.
So, what would you show them first, as far as evidence to why this is such a good buy opportunity?
Well, let's first explain the collapse and why it happened. And because they're going to ask. So
that's step one.
Right.
Step one is to dampen the fears of, I guess, the FTX contagion, right?
Right.
Because everybody's saying that on the media, FTX, everybody knows it's an exchange, but not many people used it, at least in our personal circles.
Yeah.
But somebody out there was using it because it was their largest exchange, right? So what went wrong, and why should new buyers kind of not take too much of that into consideration when it comes to re-exposing themselves to these markets?
Right. So FTX, this crazy story transpired over the last couple of weeks, and turns out SBF, which is Sam Bankman-Fried, was essentially committing fraud on his exchange. And what they were doing was they were accepting deposits from people, and basically you deposit a Bitcoin, you trade it, whatever, but that Bitcoin that you deposited, they ended up sending it to Alameda for other investments.
What's Alameda?
Alameda is their sister company.
It's like a hedge fund, basically, right?
It's a hedge fund that SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, also owns.
Yeah, so he made his big reputation by being a trader, an arbitrage trader, right, in 2017.
Yeah.
That's roughly when I got started in the markets. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy trading activity back in those days. But he just happened to really knock it out the park and turn, I think, a relatively small amount of money into a very sizable amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And with that track record came, plus he was an MIT graduate and all this stuff, and he's got parents who are Stanford professors. He just has a lot of really good credentials to him, and because of that, he built a very solid network. And he came up with the wild propositions like, listen here, guys, I'm one of the best traders on the planet.
Yeah.
Here's my record to prove that. So I've dealt with every exchange in existence, right? I know what a good exchange looks like because I'm the one who knows how to use them the best.
Yeah.
And it's track record.
Yeah.
So let me launch my own FTX.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to be the best platform for traders, speculators, crypto, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Because I know best, right? And people believed him for a long time, right?
And then, alongside that, he also started Alameda, which is a hedge fund, which allowed him to actually do trades, not in small scale, but in significantly large scale. And those trades ended up happening with other people's money.
Mm-hmm.
And so it ended up being $9 billion in liabilities, $2.3 billion loan given to this company called Paper Bird, and like all these huge numbers, right?
Yeah.
And essentially deposits entered FTX. Those deposits were then used by SBF within Alameda to make additional investments.
So that's for sure supposed to be like a negative, like a no-no. Whenever you're a custodian.
For sure. It's not in all cases.
Okay.
So, because in a bank, it's a fractional reserve. They're designed to take your funds and then loan your funds out.
Yeah.
Right. But in most cases, a lot of exchanges are not fractional reserves; they're full reserves, meaning they don't use your funds for anything other than just holding it for you.
So that is a claim they were making to their customers, right?
So they breached their own terms of service.
Okay, so they had like a little click here to agree moment, right? If you onboard into their platform.
Yeah.
So that was the front, right? We're operating like any other exchange would, like a Coinbase or a Binance, right? Like, we're harboring all these assets and we're going to protect them. And through that, you're able to leverage our tools and our features of this excellent, supposedly state-of-the-art exchange platform. Really, none of them seem very distinguishable. They seem like the same to me, but nonetheless,
it is important to distinguish, something like Coinbase versus FTX. Coinbase is a publicly traded company. And they don't. They're a full reserve, man. They don't use anybody's money for anything other than just holding it for you.
Okay. What about when they stake on people's behalf? Well, you have to give them permission, right?
You give them permission, yeah. And so I think the only difference is that it takes time to unstake it because they're actually doing it on your behalf.
Okay.
And so theoretically, you could just take it out at any time you want.
Yeah, but that's like a very public initiative of the Coinbase. Yeah. They want to participate and strengthen these.
And they're a node in the Ethereum network, right?
Like a master one, yeah.
Yeah, because they're the biggest one, I think.
Because they're leveraging user funds, basically, to have that control within the network itself. So obviously the customers themselves, they don't know what they're contributing as far as like giving a single entity that much power and influence within a network, a distributed network.
Yeah, because the custoer is just receiving their 5%.
They just want their 5% cut. Yeah, they don't tell them. It was like, you're actually turning us into a god.
Yeah.
A blockchain god.
But, so we have that.
But yeah, this isn't about Coinbase. Yeah. Maybe one day in the future, like Coinbase will fuck something up. God, I hope not, because that would really like set some alarm bells up.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, man. So at these Thanksgiving dinner discussions, man, like.
Yeah, they're going to ask, like, what's the difference? How is Coinbase going to be any different?
Yeah, why should we trust Coinbase?
It's just Coinbase, I don't know. They have regulators. They have...
they've been around a little longer.
They've been longer since, like, 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, so they have a little bit of more history, right? What else?
Other than, like, public disclosures, they're not that much different than anybody else.
Yeah,
the public disclosures do tell that they're being straight about everything that they're saying that they're doing. Yes. So Coinbase, from all accounts, from all perspectives, they're pretty safe. So if you're going to be investing, getting exposed again, Coinbase is your path.
Yeah. So, like you said, it's already a publicly traded company, so they've already gone through a lot more scrutiny.
Yeah.
As opposed to FTX. And one of the positive, I guess, outcomes from this whole situation, which is a very deep one. It takes a long time to analyze all the different angles to it, but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple, right? But the positive outcome of this is so many people got hurt by this.
Yeah.
That's not the positive part.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. But the positive part is now it's triggered enough attention from the regulatory bodies.
It's like time to step in.
Time to step in and actually formalize this industry, right? Because there's obviously tons of participants, right? We're talking huge amounts of money this is on the scale of bigger than like an Enron type event or
100%.
or a Bernie Madoff type situation. This is a huge, chink.
Yeah.
In I don't know, in the history of fraud.
History of finance, yeah.
Yeah, finance, that's a good one. So
all this started really, I mean, you could kind of debate on where like the beginning of this like collapse and therefore contagion spread was because CZ is the co-founder and CEO of Binance. He basically said that he was going to sell all the FTT tokens, which is a token by FTX, just in light of revelations. It was like this cryptic tweet, which sparked a bank run.
Basically, everybody panicked, right?
Yeah. So CZ said that he was going to sell all FTT tokens, and so people acted in the same way. They're like, "Well, I'm going to sell everything that I have, or I'm going to move it off of the FTX exchange."
Yeah.
Cause that bank run. FTX didn't have enough liquidity to provide all the actual value that people were extracting.
Yeah.
And like they were basically caught with their pants down.
Yeah. So basically they caught not honoring that terms of service agreement.
Right.
Like they took the funds, and I think they got burnt on a lot of their, the Alameda side of their operation, right? So they basically lost a lot of their customer funds.
Yep.
And they tried to use more of those customer funds to kind of like prop up those losses, I guess.
That's right. And so they were selling a bunch of Solana tokens that they were holding in order to pay back, the people who were asking for their funds back.
Yeah.
And so that caused Solana to crash.
Yep.
And then that's like the start of like the first domino of this contagion spreading.
Yeah.
And so right after, a few days after all this was happening, they ended up filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And then the same day, like a few hours later, they were hacked. But turns out, I guess this is debatable because we couldn't find any like confirmation, but turns out either SBF, founder of FTX, hacked his own account or his own company and sent those funds to either it was SBF sending it to the Bahamas government or it was an actual black hat hacker.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, $450 to $600 million were taken from the exchange as soon as they filed bankruptcy.
Yeah. The timing of that was too coincidental, I guess.
It is too coincidental. I agree.
But nonetheless, so all this factoring into FTX is no longer a juggernaut exchange. So, I mean, it's hard, basically, if you're trying to weigh whether or not you should, reinvest into these markets, it's not an easy decision at this point.
No, it isn't.
I can't even like confidently say like, whether you should or should not trust Coinbase. I'll be honest. I don't 100% trust Coinbase.
No, I mean, in any case, I mean, whether you use Coinbase or not, or FTX or
anything,
Kraken, doesn't matter which exchange you
use or a bank.
Or a bank. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's harder. Well, it's just because it's like when you wake up, you're part of the system. You're part of the matrix, right? You can't not use a bank.
You can't.
If you're,
So you kind of have to put your trust into this too. Like if you have fundamental beliefs in the ideas of blockchain and Web3, which there's tons of things to support and believe in this realm. Like it's not just all speculation. I would say 95% of everything in these markets are a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
But that 5% is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Right. And like, because the real 5% genuine technical innovations like have potential to really change the world.
Yeah. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. Like, we got to deal with the 95% of the bullshit though, and unfortunately a lot of people get hurt by that 95% because there's people out there with malicious intent just to try and, have a profitable outcome for themselves and manipulate the masses. And, social media enables all this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the perfect market for that, which is another reason why regulation is so critical. So
yep.
It all depends on your risk tolerance, I would say.
But there are ways to reduce risk. So you use Coinbase, use whatever exchange that you want to use, but move your funds off of the exchange account into your hardware wallet.
Yeah.
You control your funds at that point, and no matter what happens with Coinbase or any other exchange collapsing, contagion, doesn't matter, you hold your assets. Now, that bears responsibility. You got to know how to write down the 12-word phrase.
Yeah.
Make sure nobody else sees it.
Yep.
And then you have to protect your hardware wallet. It's like basically putting money into your into your mattress, right? Effectively, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, which is not advisable in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it isn't.
I mean, it's risky across the board because now you become your own custodian, which obviously you should be able to trust yourself, but some people it's tougher than
it's tougher. You can't just depend on that either.
Exactly. So
you have to assess your situation, right? If you can't trust like your internal circle for whatever reason, then you're gonna have to trust Coinbase.
Yeah.
And then you have to look at their public disclosures, whether or not they're being fraudulent or not, and then you just have to make your bets accordingly. So everything's a risk.
It always has been, but one thing that's always been existent in this market, specifically the crypto markets, is if you could not look past them, but again, navigate the markets responsibly in consideration of all these risks, usually the rewards way outweigh that risk every single time.
Yeah.
Because there's so much opportunity in this market. There's so much new innovation. And if you understand and respect the market cycles and you know how they operate and you know entry and exit points and all that stuff, these are things you have to learn over time.
Yeah.
Through experience, right? But we're telling you now we're on the downside of that market cycle. So
right.
Now's the time to, I guess, evaluate and weigh out these risk to reward ratios, right? So and we know the market's going to come back. Right now, it seems like there's no way we can come back from this, but that's
always feels like that every bear market.
It does.
Yeah,
this is like the perfect cherry on top, just to like get people to completely doubt their own sanity. Like, why would I even support this in the first place? You know, type stuff. And that sentiment spreads, and I guess it's everybody settle down.
Yeah.
That's the message. Everybody just calm down, breathe a little bit. Enjoy the holidays, spend some time with your family, and kind of like unplug for a little bit from all this madness, because it's going to be a process, I think, to recover for sure, which is fine.
Yeah, I think this is everyone's in agreement that as a result of the FTX collapse, the bear market is going to extend a little bit longer,
possibly,
or hurt a little bit harder.
Potentially both.
Yeah,
hurt a little, so a little bit more hurt, and then a little bit more like
time,
like lull and like depression, and like, man, dude, like looking at your watch, like, dude, it's been a while since we've like gone bullish. Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's going to suck. But again, once you learn that and you onboard that experience, and then, you can equip that, and now you have an understanding of how these markets work, and you can use that to your advantage. So in my opinion, the reward is definitely worth the risk.
It's worth the risk, yeah.
But you could still minimize risk.
Yeah.
You just got to be responsible, not be too degenerate in these markets,
Yeah, totally. And I guess the other thing to talk about would be sort of the contagion. There was basically 130 companies or so that went bankrupt as a result of this FTX collapse, and most of them, like 60 or 70 of them, were all FTX related or SBF-owned companies, because he had a crazy chart of how
entity structure.
Yeah, entity structure for all these companies.
Yeah.
And so and I guess one of the contagion factors is DCG. And this other company called Genesis, which was a lending partner to Gemini. And now they've frozen withdrawals on Genesis for people who have basically staked their currency to receive some sort of return. And so now they can't take out their funds. And so they're potentially insolvent, and DCG is
here we go again,
caught in the crossfire.
So this is like the now thing. This is what's developing now.
It is, yeah. It's happening now.
There's no final outcome yet, but there's a lot of fear and uncertainty that, again, we're going to see another repeat of a liquidity crunch situation.
Yeah.
And if it comes to be true, I mean, we're going to see public statements being made on behalf of DCG and Grayscale and all those different entities, and anybody affiliated with that. Like, hey, man, we're sorry too. Basically, we're sorry, guys. We're sorry.
Yeah.
It's going to be that all over again. And then more, like you're saying, more pain.
Yeah. So contagion, but
this is good, dude.
This presents an opportunity.
This is good. If you recall the .com bust, the same thing happened, dude. The irresponsible actors, the bad actors, the incompetent within that whole ecosystem, they got flushed out.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. We're flushing out the fat.
Yep.
Right. And the ones that can survive this are going to be your Amazons, your Googles, your Apples, all that shit,
And so, yeah, like you're saying, this presents like a pretty good opportunity if you have the stomach for it. Yeah. That if you look at just like any chart for Bitcoin and the kind of the projections based on nonlinear regression curves, we're on the buy side of this rainbow.
We're totally outside the bounds of it, dude.
Yeah,
this is like a whole new category of opportunity.
And we've never been that far out, in the last 12 years.
I mean, the blue has always been like fire sale signal, like catastrophic events bring you into the blue, or just complete market exhaustion, like bear
COVID,
crypto winters.
Crypto winter here, last cycle, COVID, and then now we have the FTX collapse,
which brought us out of the bounds. So it's like, this is pretty disgusting. Definitely unprecedented, but nonetheless, if blue is fire sale, then I guess like grid is sell everything you got.
Yeah, right.
but don't do that because that's stupid.
So I mean, not everything that's occurred in crypto has been bad.
Oh, so no, there's a lot of goods happening.
Yeah,
they're just not being covered at the moment, and not even by us.
Yeah,
but we see them. We'll make those good videos soon.
Yeah.
I think after the holidays, and like I said, when everyone's settling down, whatever the contagion that is spreading kind of like resolves, and everybody's just kind of like over it, we can move on and start to identify all these new, hopeful
hopium
projects, new technologies, new spins on use cases for blockchain and all that stuff.
Yeah, so if there was ever a time to, get back into the exposure, I mean, now I don't think you're going to find a better time than now.
Yeah.
So that's the video for today. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone.io, and at RoviAI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.